With Election Day looming less than 6 months away, the race for Charleston City Mayor is taking shape, revealing a vibrant composition of candidates, one of them being my guest, organizer and media entrepreneur, Mika Gadsden. Welcome to the show, Mika.
Thank you for having me.
So your Low Country roots run deep. And I do want to ask you about what brought you to where you are right now.
Yes, well, it's a long story, but suffice it to say, I'm the daughter of Jim Crow refugees, which means that both my parents left the Jim Crow South. And then eventually I made my way back down to the Low Country. I am a product of Charleston County Public Schools, and I'm a Gullah Geechee girl, so that means my family lineage runs up and down the Gullah Geechee corridor.
Now, something on your website, you highlight People First platform. Do you feel like there has been other candidates who have not been as focused on the human-centric aspects?
I'll say this. I don't think that Charleston, the residents here that live here at 365, the business owners, the working class folks, I don't think that they've been represented in local government. Okay. I think that other interests, specifically development, have been centered over the people. Yeah. So I want to bring about a new vision for Charleston that I think residents have been very responsive to in my work as an organizer.
Okay. And now, why did you decide to run for office?
Yeah, I've never sought public office before. And so some people at home might think, well, what's her deal, right? I've been a community organizer for years. I've studied political science in undergrad, and I feel like this right now is the perfect combination of my work. I've also led the state's Women's March chapter. I've worked with other groups, so I've organized across the state. I've gotten to know communities very well. I've worked and launched mutual aid efforts. So I think that people from the community, people who've built the relationships that I've built, they should try and seek office. It's not just something for wealthy men, right? I think that everyday folks should try to engage with their democracy, and this to me just makes sense.
Yeah. And now also, you talk a lot about, you have a climate resilience campaign. That's right. And something in Charleston that we struggle with a lot is flooding. And that's a focus of this campaign, correct?
Absolutely. Now, I don't know when folks will watch this, but yesterday we had quite a weather event. Yes. The previous day we saw some significant flooding. Look, we need leadership that's going to address that head on, and not from a standpoint of outmoded suggestions. I think we can leverage the amazing engineers, naturalists, hydrologists, people who have helped me build my climate resiliency platform. We can leverage that brilliance that already exists to bring about green infrastructure solutions to these problems. Diesel pumps is not going to cut it, okay? We need more than just these grand visions where we sink a lot of money into things that will fall apart in the coming years. So climate resiliency is my #1 cornerstone issue, and I do believe that when you address that head on, you also meet the other issues with inequity and just having access to Charleston. I think you solve a lot of problems in solving the climate issue.
And now also, you touched on a little bit before, supporting local businesses and having a community-based approach on that. But not talking about small businesses, but just affordable housing. In downtown, when I moved here, I was blown away by how expensive it was. How do you plan to approach that problem that with people who have lived here for years that can't afford to live here anymore? Absolutely.
I mean, all too often we can open our Post and Courier and read a story about a family who can their family goes back generations, right? And they've been recently displaced by either development or something of that nature. I think now, especially after May 19th, we have this new accommodation tax legislation that was just passed. So now Charleston is poised to have more discretion over where their tourism dollars goes, specifically with regard to solving the affordable housing crisis. So I think that right now, Charleston needs a leader that's not going to center development, but going to center the needs of the people. So I've already worked with community organizers who've been working on affordable housing. My campaign manager, Treva Williams, she is been at the forefront of solving the affordable housing crisis. So I have the team in place to take this new legislation and move it toward the direction where people will benefit from it.
And also, Charleston is a lovely place to live, of course, and safety isn't a huge issue, but we still hear about, shootings happening. what are you going to do to address the public safety concerns?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of talk about safety, but all too often I feel like the focus is on property. And why our private property is so important to us, and our businesses need to feel very comfortable. We need to make sure that people, like solving the issue of crime, we have to get it at the root, right? Yeah. So that means creating more opportunities for folks. And also, I don't think that you have to necessarily invest in more weaponry. We can invest in more people, in more programs, and that will be one solution out of many for any of our public safety issues.
And I feel like a lot of that will stem from government transparency, which is something else that is very important to you. Can you dive into that a little bit more?
Ooh, well, yeah. I'm in this race because I feel like I'm the only candidate that is not encumbered by a number of relationships, corporate relationships. A lot of decisions are not made with people at the table. I'm promoting a more participatory style of government, meaning that we give the people more input or more leeway to construct their future. I think that there are things that we're ushering in right now, and I'm wincing a little bit because it is really tough to see this, right? It's tough to see things like a bid and TIF districts where a lot of these decisions are being made without people's input, and also people don't even know when to show up for these things. I want to bring people back into the process so that they vote, not the dollars or corporations or the wealthy, but that people actually have input in designing a Charleston for them.
Which is beautiful. Yeah. And now, Mika, for those who want to support you or find out more information, is there any events? Where can they go? Well,
I'm excited. We're right off the heels of an amazing Pride Parade. I believe I was the only candidate participating in the Pride Parade, so I had a lot of fun hugging and loving on my residents and my neighbors. So if folks want to join me in canvassing and participating in upcoming events like that, they can go to votemika.com. There's a Get Involved tab, and they can sign up.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And November seems like it's so far away, but it's right not.
There. It's right around the corner.
And hopefully we will get to see you back in the seat a little bit closer to election. Thank you again, Mika.
Thank you so much.
We are back after this.